You know what, Jamie? Let's pop off right now. We got to get started.
We got to go.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's get the people in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hit and Hustle post-game instant reaction show brought to you by IrishSportsDaily.com. I am your host, Greg Flamong, and with me, as always, is Jamie Uwayama, Mr. Jamie University, and the Godfather himself, Mike Frank. Notre Dame beats USC 48-20 in a manner. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you guys, how many total yards do you think by both teams combined? Don't look. How many total yards both teams combined do you think were put out on the field today?
I'm going to guess 550, somewhere around there.
Okay.
It wasn't very much.
I'm going to guess less than 500.
It's 552. Around there. I think I have that right. That in a 48-20 game, that's unbelievable. But Notre Dame gets it done. They saved their season, fellas. They did. I think there's no other way to look at that. I think that's pretty much exactly what happened tonight. You can't predict this sport, guys. You just cannot. Like, how many people said that Notre Dame, like the person who is going to cost USC the game is Caleb Williams himself, just throwing the ball up all over the place. And Xavier Watts, thank you very much. I will have the greatest game in history of a Notre Dame defender. That is what happened tonight. So we are going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about all things the Notre Dame football game and their great victory. But first, we're going to pay some bills. If you're looking to upgrade your wardrobe, we're going to talk about ESQ Clothing, which has created the world's first bamboo dress shirt. It's crafted from high-quality bamboo fabric. It's the softest and most comfortable shirt you'll ever put on. It's not only more sustainable than cotton, but also feels cooler, has stretch, is odor and wrinkle-resistant, and it's even machine washable. You've seen ESQ's one-piece collar bamboo dress shirt, and it's the perfect shirt for today's business meeting or heading for a night out. Use ISD15 for 15% off all online items. That's ISD15 for 15% off. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If this is your first time, please hit the like. Please hit subscribe. Please hit the notification bell so you know we're going live. Links to the podcast are in the description below. We're going to get some super chats right away. Ken Trainham says, let's go. Ken Trainham's fired up. Kirk D.A. Anderson Fitness. Unstoppable force UNC offense. Met immovable object Notre Dame defense tonight. Immovable object won. That is 100% true. And we're going to get into that a bunch in just 1 second. Caleb Collins, thank you for the super chat. Great team win, but Austin offense still has an issue. We're going to talk about that as well. So, all right, Mike, you're here just for a bit before you man the boards over at IrishSportsDaily.com. Big picture view. What is your take here? Let's focus. I know you're.
We'll start with my first take, which is what's going on with Yama down there? I haven't seen a smile. I mean, what the heck, Yama? What's going on, man? What's going on here?
Professional. I got to tell you, I'm pretty disappointed. No, come on.
I mean,
no, I think
we're shocked. Honestly, I think we're just shocked. And look, I think we knew that this was in the defense. I think we knew that. I don't know if we knew that they could play as well as they did. But I mean, first of all, we got to tip the hat to Al Golden on just a tremendous game plan. And
tremendous.
Yama, it's not just that, they had so much success, but some of their blitzes and the things that they were running were so creative compared to some of the stuff we've seen in the past. So I was pretty excited about what I saw there, but just the ability to win. You and I talked on Power Hour about their right tackle being weak. I think we saw that in this game. But really, Riley Mills got pressure up front. Of course, we know Howard Cross is going to get pressure every time. Boubacar Traore gets in the game, and it's just like, wow. I mean, I just think that they did a really, really good job, both game planning and execution-wise. Good tackling, finally. Really we saw some outstanding tackling. Stripping the ball. I mean, this is just about as good performance defensively as you could find. And it's just very exciting to see that. And I'm just, you have to wonder, where was this last week? Of course. But I think we talked about it last week, Greg. This was just a dead tired team. I mean, they were just dead tired. They just didn't have the juice that they needed. Congrats to the coaches. Congrats to Notre Dame's leadership on the team for getting them ready to go. I mean, usually you should be up for USC no matter what, but just to stay focused and be in the game. And at first there wasn't quite what you'd hoped as far as the start goes, but they held in there. Defense played great. And then more importantly, the offense took advantage of the opportunities. I wouldn't say it was a great offensive performance tonight, but most importantly, they took care of the opportunities and made the most of them. And that's how you win football games. And so while it wasn't a completely pretty performance on the offensive side, the ability to actually convert and do the things that you needed to do when you did get those opportunities, I think says a lot. And I think the O-line did a better job in this game. We knew that USC wasn't necessarily a great defense, but when it came time to do the things that they needed to do, I thought the offense did what they had to do. And I mean, gosh, this has got to help recruiting. There's no doubt about it. And, as long as you continue to play like this, they'll have a chance to win. I do think the offense has to improve still. They're going to need to do a little bit better job down the stretch here. But overall, very excited about this performance. And I think it says a lot about Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame's coaches, and the leadership on this team that they were able to overcome such a disappointing loss and really just rebound to play as well as they did in this game. So very, very excited. I mean, it's just nice to see this. And after such a disappointing week, to bounce back and play as well as they did was very, very exciting. And, again, like to see a lot of the offensive players, like to see Tyree, making a big play when they needed him to. And as Jamie talked about when we were kind of leading into this show, for the first time in a long time, the offense responded once a touchdown was had, as far as, once the USC was actually able to score, they ended up playing well and responded. So that's fantastic.
Jamie, I want to go to you about the defense because, Mike's we're talking about Al Golden and the scheme and everything. And it's one thing to have a good scheme and have good ideas, but also for the players to execute your plan and your ideas exactly the way that you want. And I think that's what we saw tonight is like, and like kind of juxtaposed with the offense too. Like I think a lot of what the offense was trying to do at various points was good and what you would want to see, but it wasn't executed the way that you want. And on the defensive side, every single person who came in was on point, knew exactly what they were in there to do, and they went there and did it. So talk about that and talk about what else you saw from the defense in the game. Just kind of start it off real quick.
Yeah, I just thought I think you're exactly right. It was exactly how they executed it, right? So what they did, there were so many little things in terms of the 5-man pressures, but being like tight with it and closing in the pocket. The pocket was closed in all the time. So when Williams tried to spin out or do anything, there was always someone there.
Yeah.
There was nothing he had a couple of like Houdini moments, but that was it really, because he couldn't, there was nowhere to go. Right. And really
good upfield pressure, very good upfield pressure. And that's what made the difference. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I think one of the things too, because even on some of these plays too, where he did end up making throws down the field and converting on like 3rd down, the coverage was there. Like even the one touchdown, the last touchdown they got, I mean, they had to cover for like 8 seconds. Like that was just one of the things where they didn't hit home there, right? With the 4-man rush. And that was kind of like the big difference there, is that they were able to get pressure with 4, with 5. They didn't do any of the drop 8 stuff. They stayed aggressive the whole time. And frankly, they said, even though USC's got these skill guys, they said we can cover these guys. And they did. They played a lot of man tonight. They played a lot of man, and they did really, really well. And I think you could see too, like USC doesn't have Jordan Addison this year. Like they don't have that dude who's just like, if you do that, he's going to just destroy you, right? Like that, they don't have that guy because even like Brandon Rice, who has been killing people all year. Well, I mean, he didn't win against Benjamin Morrison much tonight, right? Like he got the one PI call, the touchdown call. I mean, that was just how long the play went. That wasn't anything on Morrison. Like Morrison pretty much locked him up, and he's been dominant. Taj Washington has been like lighting people up. He didn't get anything. Mario Williams is like a nobody on their offense, and really
Dorian Singer as well.
Yeah, Dorian Singer too. This guy had 1,100 yards at Arizona last year. He's like a nobody on their offense, and I really think that if you look at what they did in the run game, that was the thing last year. They didn't win up front, and they got run on, with even numbers in the box.
Yeah,
and they dominated up front. They were way better than USC's offensive line. That stood out the whole game. Even if you look at like, Marshawn Lloyd, he had the one big run on, they got out leveraged on the one, speed option. It was kind of like a nice little design on the freeze there, but that was it. That was
so Marshawn Lloyd, 46 yards total, 31 yards, a long of 31. So we're talking about 7 carries for 15 on the other ones. Austin Jones, 11 carries for 27. So
that was a difference. Last year they gashed Notre Dame.
Bottled them up. Yeah, completely bottled them up. Over 200 yards rushing for USC last year.
Yeah, I mean they just gashed him, and that allowed Caleb Williams to do what he did. But I did see a couple comments in there, and people were saying, does Mike only show up for wins? Folks, when Notre Dame loses, somebody has to be around the board, all right? And if you've ever been around the board,
that's his job.
It is the worst job. I mean, I just want to say it is the worst job in the world trying to police that. And so I come out and, somebody's got to be around. And Buckos is 108 years old, so he can't stay up past, really 8 o'clock. And he was complaining the whole time. So somebody's got to be around there, and I'll have to be going there here in just a little bit. But that's the only reason I'm not here. Plus, I mean, look at the capable hands I got here. I mean, these are the two best guys doing this show, following Notre Dame, and they do a tremendous job. And sometimes I end up, just getting in the way, I think. So, and plus, if you read some of the comments, everybody hates me anyway. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. But see, when you have an opinion, you have to write the opinion pieces. See, you guys don't have to do that, and I do. So when you do that, you get some people hating you. It is what it is.
It's you know what you've been around when you're the Godfather. People always want.
I hate that. Why do people call? I wish people would not call me that. I just don't like it. I've never liked it. I don't know how I got the name. I don't like it, but it is what it is. But anyway, I mean, to me, I just think that this is a very important win. It is a absolutely huge win for Notre Dame when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to just the way you have to look at Notre Dame's program and where Marcus Freeman is headed. A lot of times when he has these kind of losses in the past, Charlie Weiss would have a second or a third, and Tyrone Willingham would have 5 after this, and sometimes Brian Kelly would have a number after this. And to be able to rebound, that shows people that, hey, look, I am in control of this. We're not quite where we need to be, but once we get this figured out, and we get the right players, this is going to be a very good situation. And so, huge, important, very important win for Notre Dame and for Marcus Freeman. And I think that you'll see recruiting, do well here as long as they continue to win. So,
yeah. I want to do kind of like a big picture thing on just like what just happened. And I think that in a couple days, we'll talk about like the offense and everything. And because like it's not a good performance, right? Like 250 yards against this defense, like it's a concerning thing. But the thing about football and the thing about these kind of games is that you have to, like, it's at the end of the day, you have to win however it takes to win the game. And you do have to, like, good teams do that. However, it needs to happen. And look, that's a good offense that USC has, just straight up, right? Just the way that they play offense is very difficult for any defense to deal with. And so to come out and play that way, and, the vibes weren't very good, right? The defense, just like an offense can pick up a team, the defense can pick up a team too, and basically say, no, we're not going to let it happen. We are going to find a way, however it needs to happen, to win the game and go on and move forward. You get to the bye, and then you regroup, right? The whole team on offense, like, they all need to regroup. They need to get healthy. Jaden Thomas clearly isn't healthy still, right? Jaden Greathouse clearly isn't healthy still, right? They got to get guys healthy, move forward. It's just a great team win, program win, right? We've seen program losses, program win tonight for them. Huge night for the fan base, for everybody, and it just seems like this is a big springboard for the team going into the rest of the season. Like Jamie and I talked about, like, you got to save the season. Notre Dame did that tonight, so. I kind of wanted to go on there, and Mike, if you wanted to do like one last kind of big picture comment thing, and then you can get going.
I have one more comment, and I think it's important, and probably won't get talked about much. And that is, in the second half, when they did get the lead, what I like to see was they were not going to sit on the ball. Okay. Too many times we've seen too many teams sit on the ball. They came out aggressive. They tried to throw the ball a little bit. I think they knew that, hey, if Caleb Williams gets hot, it's not going to take time. And a lot of people have said, maybe Marcus Freeman is, because he's defensive minded, maybe he wants to run the football too much, and that's kind of holding things back. But I like seeing that they came out aggressive and they wanted to try and move the football and still put pressure on USC offensively versus let's just try and pound it into the line and try and bleed out this clock. I was real worried about that. That didn't happen. I wouldn't say they had a whole lot of success, but hey, at least they were trying to be, trying to get things going. And Sam Hartman was not his best tonight. He just really wasn't, and wasn't last game either. So I think they need to get him back on track as well and make some plays. Now, he certainly made a huge, important throw to Tyree, but I do think that there were a couple throws that he'd like to have back. And, and again, I think that they did try to, push the ball down the field and not sit on the ball. And I think that that's really important. And it's something to look for moving forward, because when you got a brand new offensive coordinator, you don't know how he's going to call the game. And I like seeing that, because I think in order to be an elite team, Yama, you're going to have to be somebody who's going to be aggressive. And I like seeing that part of Parker tonight. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I thought, specifically after the sudden change where they had the one pick, and I can't remember if it was I think it was the Benjamin Morrison pick when they went, and then away
they did the sideline route to Flores,
to Flores, right? Sudden change, go on, and I was like, this is it. If you're not doing it now, just like hand in the resignation papers, because you have to take this right now. Take this advantage. They're reeling. They're on tilt. This is the spot. And you know what? I thought actually that was a great job by Jared Parker there, because they had set that up. They had run the screens earlier. They had got him, right? They got him with that one Chris Tyree one. Even some of the other stuff that didn't work before, where they ran it a couple other times. They still had them thinking screen, right? So that set that up there, and that was just absolutely necessary. That was needed. And up until that point, they hadn't had an explosive play in the game, right? So that part of it was big. Taking the shot to Tyree was big. Yes, I would say, like, the lack of overall explosives against this USC defense, yeah, that is concerning. I think that is something that needs to change, and we'll see how much it changes with the bye week. The good thing is they get a chance to kind of reboot a little bit. And like you said, Greg, those guys getting healthy, I think that's big, because it's so obvious that those guys aren't healthy, right? And so that's going to be big. And then also too, you get to see if somebody else it can emerge and be more, right? Like, I think obviously Tyree fills a role, but he's just been great at his role. Like, he's just been awesome at his role. Like, I don't know where the offense would be without him. Like, and
they'd be in trouble, certainly.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, Notre Dame's two best receivers right now are a converted running back and a walk-on lacrosse player. I mean, you know what I mean? Those are the guys making plays right now.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. That's crazy to think about. And you know, it's sad that they're in this position. Thanks, Dell. But you know, this is where it's at, and you can't have. Again, I just think getting healthy will be a big thing. You know, getting Greathouse back to where he was and Jaden Thomas back to where he was, I think will certainly help open up the offense. But you know, again, I think Sam Hartman can play better than he has the last few games, and I think he will. I think he's just a little bit nervous about what happened in the last game. And you know, if you get beat up like he did so many times, it's hard to do that. But, you know, O-line, I thought bounced back, did a pretty solid job in this game. And there's not a team in college football who needs a bye week more than Notre Dame does, you know? So let's get everybody healthy. Let's get back and get ready for the last charge here, and we'll see what happens. So excited about it. I got to get going, check on the boards. Thanks, everybody. You know, let Greg and Jamie do their thing. God bless you all. And it's always the best thing in the world to beat USC. It just is, no matter how it comes. But, boy, when you can smack them like they did today, oh, it's just beautiful. Man, and seeing that, J.D. Price, I mean, is there anything better than all the things that J.D. Price has gone through to have a big kind of coming out moment like that? I mean, it's just, you know, God bless him, and it's just wonderful to see that happen. So, anyway, I'm just happy as can be. So we'll see you guys. See you on the boards, and enjoy the show.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, Matt. All right, Jamie, I got to put this up. Matt Freeman. Here it comes. All right. So Matt, he's like, Greg, you got to put up my text to you. Fine. It's all right. So yeah, we made our predictions. Matt is always, here's the thing about Matt. Like he is like always downplaying Notre Dame. And we come out with our predictions, and he's the only one who picked Notre Dame to win. And so I texted him. I said, why'd you do that? Right? Like I hadn't talked to him. We never talked to each other. And so this is what he said. Notre Dame isn't going to have 5 turnovers. Fact check, true. Didn't have 5 turnovers. Notre Dame runs for 200 plus. Fact check, not true. They ran for 129, I think it was, or 125. USC's wide receivers have key drops. I think that was correct. They did have a number of drops. Notre Dame gets 5 sacks. He said 2 Snead. Let me check here. I don't think Snead had 2.
No, he had the 1 at the end, but
yeah. And you know what? I'm going to go with the spirit of it. The spirit of the spirit of the thing was that, like, he just thought Notre Dame was going to be dominated. I'm sorry, USC was going to be dominated by Notre Dame up front on both sides, and it wasn't true at all on offense, but on defense it absolutely was. And I think for me, you know, on that first drive, Jamie, when JJB got the first pressure where he didn't get home, and it's like you got to get him on the ground, right? Like we've been talking about. But the fact of the matter is, the pressure was there, you know, and then they get the pressure again up the middle, and Caleb Williams just throws it up, really out of pocket throw. Like, can't do that. And that just continued for the rest of the night, Jamie. I mean, the pressure numbers on PFF tomorrow are going to be out of control. They're going to be out of control. 11 tackles for loss on the night. 6 sacks. How many? 4 turnovers, Jamie, was it? Did they force 4 turnovers, or was it 5? I mean, just a complete.
I think it ended up being. Where is it? It ended up being 5. Yeah,
5 turnovers. All of them by Xavier Watts, except for the interception. Listen, we got to talk about this. Okay, 2 picks, 7 tackles, a forced fumble, a recovered fumble for a touchdown. Who has ever had a better game than this? I mean, like, we're talking like Mo Crum, but even that was just like a bunch of returned fumbles. I mean, this is an all-timer from Xavier Watts. I mean, just on the wings of Eagles.
Yeah. Yes. Honestly, it was like what made it an all-timer was the situation. Like, backs against the wall, Notre Dame needed this game. Marcus Freeman needed this game. I don't know if Al Golden needed this game. He's done a pretty good job this year, but still, that, it definitely throw this on Al Golden's resume. And if I'm an NFL team looking for a defense coordinator, I mean, hey, how about this guy who did this against Caleb Williams that no one has done? Basically, Lincoln Riley. So I posted this up too. It was 4.1 yards per play for USC, the lowest he's had at USC or Oklahoma. So he's been at Oklahoma since 2017. Let me remind you, the guy's had 3 Heisman winners. They have lit it up. The guy's the best offensive mind, the best offensive play caller of the past decade. No doubt. And Al Golden and the Notre Dame defense put him in chains, right? And that the situation having to go against Caleb Williams and the USC offense and all that skill talent, and then Xavier Watts doing what he did then situation, and I mean in every sense, big hit on the sideline on Williams too, absolutely, I mean, just balling out there. And I think you could say the Mokrum UCLA game was a one-man show. It's, I mean, definitely a memorable game. I would say that one Miami game, it totally gets lost in the annals of time because of it was the 2016 season and it was just a horrid season. But Jerron Jones just absolutely, I think he had 6.5 tackles for a loss, was just unblockable that game. He's never had a game like that ever in his life. And obviously he doesn't play defensive line anymore, so he never will, so that was just an unbelievable game. And X Watts trumped all of them because he had that level of a game, but in a way bigger moment.
Way bigger moment against a Heisman winner.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not this is not winless Notre Dame going to UCLA. That's not what this is. This is not. It's not even Ben Morrison against Clemson last year. It's not even that, right? This is undefeated USC Heisman winner. It's just, I mean, you hold Caleb Williams, 23 of 37, 199 yards. I mean, the yards per attempt, Jamie. This is a player, they have multiple players who average over 20 yards a catch on the season. And they had a long of 21 yards on a catch today by the tight end. It's just Mario Williams had a 20-yard catch. Here's a perfect example of what Notre Dame did to their wide receivers. Mario Williams had a 20-yard catch, ended up with 28 yards on 5 receptions. That is what they did. I mean, it's just an incredible performance. And I was at USC last year and just watching how that unfolded from the press box. And it was just stopping them feels impossible. It truly feels impossible the way that USC plays offense. And what they did tonight, it's just, I can't say enough about the plan and the execution by all involved. We've seen Notre Dame defensively, what they did against Ohio State, right? A couple years now, where we talked after that game, it's just their level of execution. They had a couple blowups at the end, but on the main, now we've had 2 games of this where we've seen them play this way. It's just, I don't remember a Notre Dame defense playing this well in high leverage situations like this, twice, in a year, 2020 Notre Dame against North Carolina, that was a really good performance. But I mean, and that was a really good North Carolina offense, but this is twice now, against Ohio State and now against USC there. I mean, Al Golden, what can you say, Jamie? I mean, it's just unbelievable job.
It's an unbelievable job. I mean, the entire staff on defense, I think you really got to tip your hat to, because
Al Washington,
you know, I read a lot of dumb, and I'm going to call them dumb people who think Al Washington should be fired. You're dumb. I'm calling you dumb because you don't know defensive line play, because Notre Dame's defensive line has played well all year. The sacks haven't, come as much as you'd like to see. And obviously they came tonight. But pressure has always been there. And these guys have played fantastic against the run all year, and just have improved exponentially in terms of how they defeat blocks, play. Like, I'm a guy that I played defensive line. I coached defensive line. Like, I've seen him coach, and the dude can coach. The dude can coach. And also, I will say, they rotated way more in this game. And the second team guys played well. Yeah. They played really well. So, get out of here, Xander. I don't want to hear about this stupid recruiting stuff right now. Get out of this chat right now if you're talking about this. Look at some of the – go check out Bryce Young's ranking and how he jumped up there. Okay, is that good enough for you, Xander? Like, listen, Al Washington has done a great job with this defensive line. I think they've recruited fine. I think the guy knows how to develop players. He's done a great job. I think linebacker-wise, they've obviously, like, J.D. Bertrand, just always completely not appreciated, to
incredible game tonight.
Incredible game tonight. Not appreciated as much as he should be. And that's,
that play he made, someone made a comment on Twitter, Jamie, about the play that he made to blow up that fourth. Someone was like, that is the definition, like, textbook of havoc play.
Yeah.
Blows up the running back, blows up the quarterback, tackles both of them. That is phenomenal. 11 tackles from him, shared a sack, 2 tackles for loss, 1 quarterback hurry. Just in a big spot. We talked, Jamie. We said the linebackers in this game are huge. They have a huge assignment. Marist with a sack, another tackle for loss, and 4 tackles from him. What we said, 11 tackles from J.D. Bertrand. Like, those guys were incredible tonight, and they played a huge role in the way this game went. We said it was going to be a front 7 game. Notre Dame dominated USC up front, just full stop.
Absolutely.
Full stop.
And then I think, obviously, too, when you're talking about the back end, because the back end has just been great all year. They really, really have, like we've been saying on Hit and Hustle all year, like, where are the busts? They're not there. Like, it just, you don't see it. You don't see it. Sometimes guys get beat, but you don't see busts from this group. It's just a totally disciplined group. And they've played just extremely well. And I just couldn't be, I don't even know what to say to add on, to be like, other than, I think when you have this kind of performance against USC's offense, against a guy as good as Caleb Williams, because Caleb Williams still made some plays
for sure,
there, right? Because the guy's awesome. He's awesome.
Great play.
But it just didn't even matter. There was nothing there for him. And that's the one thing about Lincoln Riley's offense that you're talking about. It's so incredibly hard to defend because there's always something there.
Yeah.
And there just wasn't. It just wasn't. Like, even all those things where it was just the perfect mix of unpredictability, where he was, well, now I'm blitzing Harper. And then, okay, well, now I'm gonna, they're gonna hit you with the screen. And it was like, it didn't matter. Like, it was everything they did. Al Golden and the Notre Dame defense had an answer for. They just did for the majority of the night. And really, like, I think we got to mention too, Marty Biagi's special teams in this game.
Look, if it was Brian Mason, people would be freaking out. Like that kickoff return touchdown is enormous. It is enormous. Like that. At that point, it's like, look, USC is not winning this game. Like they're not. Like that. Just like they got their special teams playing. It's like we're back. Offense is struggling. Returning for touchdown. They had not just that, but they had good returns the whole time before that. They had a bunch of good returns. Like he found something in them, and he exploited it. Great play, Jadarian Price. It's a great point, Jamie. The only thing I would say, the line drive kicks.
Yes, those weren't good, but I would say
you don't want that. You hate to see that.
No,
to Zachariah fans. You don't want that.
No, those were a bad idea. I mean, at the very least, he did make the tackle.
That's fair.
Yeah. But I would say those were. If I was Marty Biaggi, I would have been sweating every single line drive kick.
Yeah,
those weren't great. Those weren't great. But Spencer Schrader too. Booted it out of the end zone. Really only had the one bad kickoff, really on the night. Right, that was kind of like, I don't know about that one. Like that was about it for him. So he obviously did, but the coverage team was like really good because, I mean, Branch had to pull out like everything out of his hat to get that one return, and it was just phenomenal. And the guy he's easily the best returner in the country, right? And even some of the stuff too, if you're just kind of taking it back to the defense too, with like he had to run and do like crazy stuff just to get 0 yards on a reverse, right? Like, it was, gosh, what an impressive performance. And like, by the way, 28.3% havoc rate for the defense in the game. Pretty good.
That'll work. Good.
Yeah.
We're taking it. I want to highlight our great viewers, Jamie. Jacob Paulus giving Jamie hockey updates.
Love it.
During the post game. We love to see that. That's good stuff. That is people taking care of people right there. Canucks up 3-2 halfway through the second period.
Appreciate it.
We love to see it. All right, Jamie. We do need to talk about the offense a little bit. So I want to get your opinion on this, okay? Because I think Jacob says it's 3-3. No good. All right. All right. So I actually thought that, Marcus Freeman last week said, hey, the execution errors. I thought this week it was a lot more of execution than it was bad plans. There were some things I didn't love, right? But there were some things where it's like, you know what? That's pretty good. That's a pretty good call. And they just didn't hit on it. I thought like the first drive, the second half, he opened it like exactly what we wanted, Jamie. He go into center, you play action, and they completely turn loose. Holland stays. No one's looking at it. Just dump it.
30-yard gain.
And instead, instead Hartman tries to like fit one in to Evans, and it gets broken up.
And like a jump ball, 50-50 ball.
Why? Like there's no need for it. Just throw it to Stays, and he's running for days. So I didn't like that. He missed Stays later on an out route. I didn't like that. That's my bad. He said I turned it into a hockey chat. Oops, this one. I didn't mean to. I was just trying to do a nice thing for Jamie. Anyway, so it just I felt like they had good ideas in this game. I felt like Parker had good ideas. It just they didn't hit on them, Jamie, and the execution was poor. And look, that goes to coaching, right? We're not going to absolve anyone of anything, but I just thought from a play calling perspective, I thought this was a better game from Parker. Obviously, the touchdown. It's a great man beater call to get Tyree with all that open space. Great man beater call, and they absolutely needed it. Was that your impression that it was just a poor execution game from the offense?
Yeah, for sure. I thought it was more of like Sam Hartman didn't play well.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we'll rewatch it back and get another look at it. But like, I thought, because third down, I mean, we've talked about it. It's been a major problem the last 2 weeks. It's been a significant problem. And I just thought they didn't do a good job he didn't do a good enough job of setting his guys up to succeed. on third down the last 2 weeks. And that's partially why they, and execution. That's partially why they didn't have success. But I thought a ton of times this game, I was like, that's the right call. Like that, there's nothing wrong with that call. Make a better throw. Make a better throw, right? Like, and because it wasn't like Hartman, tremendous job of the offensive line protection in this game. Because USC came in and their pass rush, like they had
30 sacks.
Yeah. And I think one of the things too was that, they hadn't played any half decent offensive line. And then I'll also say too, Notre Dame's offensive line, it's just extreme Jekyll and Hyde on the road compared to home. They're just way better at home. They're way better at home. Obviously, you have a lot of the advantages with the crowd, but 0 sacks given up at home this year. Right. So, and USC had a ton of sacks heading into this game and they got some dudes on Ohio State. So it's not just like, oh yeah, they play Tennessee State. It's not just that. Right. So, I thought there was a lot of times too on third down. So I don't think the numbers on third down, they were 3 of 10 on third down, which ironically is an improvement from the 4 for 25 that they were the last things. But they should have been easily over 50%. Like they missed stuff. It was execution. It was poor execution. Right. And here's the other thing, short yardage, been a problem. It's been a problem, especially some of the execution stuff. They punched it in. They punched it in when they had to, right? Twice, right? So, and that was something I'm sure most Notre Dame fans were sweating at that moment, right? Because the defense had done all that work to get you in that position. Now finish it, right? And they did, right? So, there were still things in this game, like you said, that I didn't like. And then I was like, I'll probably watch back and be a little bit more critical of. But there were a lot of things I did like in this game. And I do think that, the quarterback's got to execute better. I just didn't think Sam Hartman had, I don't even think he was under pressure with some of this stuff. He just didn't make the throws.
Yeah, this is a good comment from generic username. He says Sam's looking like he's under pressure even when he's not. And I think that's true. Like, I think that, like, if you look at Williams, and Williams is maybe like a little bit too confident, right? Too confident and comfortable in the pocket. But Sam is like very much, I don't want to stand back here and go through progressions and actually look at what I'm seeing. It's like, I know where the ball's supposed to go. And if it's not going there, then I'm not knowing what to do. You know what I mean? Like it's very like, I had that feeling watching them. I was like, oh, this is like Clemson 2022. Like they're kind of afraid to throw the ball. Obviously that's a very dangerous place to be in, especially against this defense. But that's what it was. I just think they really need to get Jaden Thomas back. It's very important to them because he's been, look, however good you think he is or isn't, or whoever, it doesn't really matter. He's been in big games before. He's made big catches before. Like, he is their most experienced receiver. They need to get him going. When you see Faison starts the game, he's a good player, but it's alarming, right? It's a little bit, it's like, man, Notre Dame is not in a good place at wide receiver at the moment, which kind of like just underscores win by any means necessary kind of thing. Yeah. Like just however it needs to happen, just find a way to win the game. Hit Tyree on the post route, which is a great throw. Like, that's a great throw. And you got to hit it, right? It's one thing you hit the little, you miss those little dump off routes or whatever that might be. But it's another one when you got to post for a touchdown, got to hit it, and they hit it. And Tyree, great play by him as well to run across the field there, Jamie. We said, if it's a bad offensive performance, we're going to be concerned. I think you got to be a little bit concerned, right? It's just, just going forward, right? Like you're not going to get this many.
You're not going to get this many
turnovers over and over.
And the defense is going to have lapses. Like you're not going to get like this was an A+ game from the defense. It's just impossible to expect an A+ game every game. It's just too hard, right? And like, I mean, plus you don't know if like guys are. I mean, hopefully now they got into the bye, and that's going to help. That's going to help out quite a bit, right? They absolutely need it. But I just think offensively, the things that I liked in this game, I thought third down, like the calls were way better on third down this week. The execution wasn't great by the quarterback specifically, but I thought the calls were way better. They were set up to convert a lot of times, way more than they have been. I thought, like he set up some of those plays better, right? I thought, how they kind of switched some stuff with some of that, just the formation stuff, what they did on, did you notice how the tight ends, when they went to that tight bunch, how Stays was basically like over top of the tackle? Like it was that tight. Yes. So just, those are just simple things, but it's just like that kind of stuff. That's good. Like that shows they knew what was wrong and they fixed it. Right. So I like that kind of stuff. I mean, do I like some of I still think they need more diversity in the run game. They absolutely, they need more there. They need to find better ways to use play action, and Hartman's just got to be better in play action. Like that, just you got to take those gimmies, right? But I think if you're going to compare it to Louisville, it's not even comparable. This was 10 times better. I mean, is it good enough to actually, if this game was a shootout, Notre Dame was going to lose the game. Like that is 100%. But that wasn't what happened because the defense dominated. So I don't think I've ever seen a game where the offense did less, where they dropped almost 50 on another team.
Yeah. Like, and they should have dropped 50, don't take a knee, Marcus. Don't take a knee.
No, that's
what? You got to go for it. No, it's fine. It's fine. He doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to do that. But look, it does need to get better. And look, I don't know how much the bye will help. Like I hope it does, right? Like you hope that they can get the wide receivers. The health is a big deal, and you get some more self-scouting stuff going on, and maybe they just really needed a break. Like you look at Jared Parker, he was clear. What was on Tuesday? He spoke to the media, Jamie. He looked like he hadn't slept since they got back.
Yes.
He looked terrible, and so it just, you hope he got some sleep. He didn't look good on
gets to breathe a little easier tonight.
Breathe a little easier tonight. Like actually get some sleep,
Yeah.
And so that's something that you're looking for there. We got whose dad is never mind. I'm not. Greg is a giant fan of Mario Cristobal. I am not. I'm not. I'm not. Coach Humph is asking, is it me or does every run play seem to take forever to set up? Quick hitters. I mean, they did some interesting things in the run game, right? I didn't think everything was as we've seen it, right? Like they did like a fake counter pitch, which I thought was kind of fun. They did the reverse to phase on. I just think, Jamie, the run game is not clicking right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I will say even just getting a little bit at the end where they're having some success with Esteme at the end is that's important.
Yeah.
Like that is important. So Yeah, I just they don't got a good feel for it right now. They just don't. They don't. And I actually think that like the O-line did a pretty significantly better job in this game blocking than they did.
Certainly in pass blocking.
Yeah, and I will say though that and this isn't even just like a Zeke Correll like criticism, but like especially early on in the game, like Bear Alexander, he gave him a tough time.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't great. Patrick Carter asked if somebody had told you the final score 24 hours ago, how many rushing yards would you have guessed for Notre Dame?
Oh, I probably would have guessed like 270 or something. Like
I would have guessed like 350.
Yeah.
So I just that no way I would, if I would have thought like 48-20, I would have thought they set records, but it just goes to show like there's so many ways to win, Jamie, and there's so many ways to lose. And we saw how you can lose against Ohio State, and we saw kind of the inverse of that. Like, this is how you can win. You can play poorly on offense, you can not look good, and you can put up 48 points. And you can have a good program win. And if you want to set up your program or your business or your highlight reel, and you want to set that up to win, then what you need to do is you need to go to vsrmediacompany.com, which is founded by Notre Dame football pregame host and Emmy Award-winning anchor Vahid Sadrazadeh. VSR Media provides professional and cinematic video and photo. Whether you're looking for a collegiate or pro-level highlight reel, have a personal story to tell, or are aiming to diversify and grow your business, VSR Media specializes in short and long-form video storytelling, social media management, and website design. VSR Media also captures professional headshots, senior, and sports photos. Contact them at vsrmediacompany.com. Mention Irish Sports Daily to receive 20% off your first project. Visit them online or give them a call at 574-800-9106. Jamie, what did you make of USC tonight?
It's funny because Paolo Uggetti, who's a writer for ESPN, he's a college football writer for ESPN, and he does a lot of stuff like out of LA and covers the Pac-12 and USC quite a bit. I think he might be a USC grad too, and he said basically like Notre Dame kind of exposed all of USC's weaknesses today. So that's what I kind of think that's what it was really like. It's obvious that USC's O-line isn't as good as it was a year ago. And so that is a problem. Like any team with like a real D-line, and Notre Dame's got a real D-line, they're gonna have a tough time with. I also don't think that I think that they have good receivers, very good receivers, like a bunch of guys that you would trade to have on Notre Dame in a heartbeat, right? But like I said, they don't have a dominant guy. They don't have a guy that you can say like third down, we got to get the ball to this guy, right? They don't have that guy. So they don't have that guy. I think you saw like Lloyd is good, but he had nothing. He had no holes to run through today. Yeah. And I think Williams is special if you give him time to create and get out of the pocket and then just find and like break away stuff. That's how he can have like that touchdown that he had, right? But like if you don't have that, that is, where is the specialness of their offense, right? That's a huge part of it, right? So I just think that they like offensively, they're not quite as good as they were last year all around. So the supporting cast for Williams isn't as good. And frankly, he just hasn't been as good. He hasn't been as good. Like he's still amazing, but last year he was just on a completely other level. Like he was one of the best quarterback performances I've ever seen. And he really did that for the entire season, really. And that's just a really hard thing to do that. And he's kind of had to do that a little bit this year. And he has had to carry the team even more. So I think because of that, USC, they have problems. And then on defensively, other than Caleb Bullock, who's a dude in the secondary? They don't have any other dudes, right? They don't have anybody else. They have guys who, frankly, are probably like liability, and they've got injuries there too.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of liabilities there. They don't have any. They don't have a great linebacker. They don't have a great linebacker, and the defensive line is their guys are pretty good, but they're not like great. Like they're not. Barry Alexander is a good player, but he's not a total game wrecker. Like he didn't take over this game the way that like he didn't look anything close to Dwayne Carter from Duke. Right? He didn't have a game like that Ashton Gillette kid from Louisville. Like it wasn't even close to that, right? So when you think of it in that way, like where is this team for USC without like Zachariah Branch like creating? What if he didn't even get that punt return in this game? They're even in bigger trouble, right? So I don't know. I just don't think that USC's that good, and I think they're probably going to lose at least one more time this regular season, probably two, because they got a bunch of hard games left, and it's crazy because Caleb Williams is probably the best quarterback. I mean, I'd put him maybe not as good as Joe Burrow was in that one LSU year, 2019.
Yeah.
But he's kind of right behind it. He's him.
Up there.
Like he's up there. Because I would probably say if you could certainly make an argument that you take him over Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence was fantastic. So you got that, and I don't think they're going to win a Pac-12 title with him. And then what are they going to be after? Like, I mean, they have talent and they're recruiting talent. Yes. But like, even that, I think they're kind of a little bit in the same boat as Notre Dame too, where people are like, why isn't this guy playing more? Why isn't that guy? And it's like, well, because it's not that easy. Like if Deuce Robinson was ready to be a star, they would have chucked it to Deuce Robinson a bunch of times, and he's not, right? And they have a bunch of guys on defense that are all a ton of transfers there, but these guys weren't like elite players at their other schools. So it wasn't like they got these guys who were just ready-made to come in and step up. And then I also think like there's a big chance that things can go really bad for them, because there's a bunch of guys who started for them last year who were transfers that are now backups. And I mean, you go in the portal thinking that you're going to play a ton, and it's like guys are going to be disgruntled. So like that's where I think even when you see with like Colorado and stuff too, yeah, it sounds all good. Like I keep receipts and all this, and it sounds all good. But if things don't go perfectly and things don't go bad, like don't go well, it can fall apart pretty quickly, right? So they certainly got better because of the transfer portal, but it just wasn't going to be a totally perfect quick fix, right? And even I think Florida State is like, I mean, they're paper good. Like they're if they were playing in the non-ACC, and they still might lose to somebody in the ACC. Like congrats on beating the crap out of Syracuse, but they've looked bad on the road, right? And good teams just kick the crap out of teams on the road. That's just what it is, right? And they're not there. So I don't know. I just kind of think that USC is, if Caleb Williams isn't just phenomenal, then how good are they? They're just not good. They're probably 8-4 if that's the case.
Yeah. Irish SPE, thanks for the super chat. I was wondering, Jamie, just thinking about this, like, when has USC ever just got complete, like under Lincoln, like the last 2 years, they just got completely whipped on, like right away? Never. It's never happened. The only time it ever happened was the end of the
Utah
game. And Caleb Williams is hurt, right?
He got
had the
hurt
hamstring.
Then. Yeah.
He got hurt, so he had the hamstring going on. And that just never happens. And I don't just obviously I live in LA, so I watch a good bit of USC. Notre Dame was able to send numbers and also lock up their guys, which never happens.
Yeah.
It's like if you send numbers, then you better, like, you're taking, like, usually it's like you're giving up a bunch of chunk stuff because they're finding openings and they're getting over on you that way if you don't get home right away. And this didn't happen. Like, this is the first time USC's ever been like, hey, like, they are whipping us up front. They're sending more than 4 and we can't get open. I don't think I've ever seen that before. And like, that is the limitation. Like, you have to, that is how you have to do it. Right. Like little things like this game probably doesn't come up at all in like the stat sheet, but like Thomas Harper against those slots, when he's not even like, no one's even talking about him. It's like, that is a great performance. Right. And like, I understand that people will say like, oh, you know, this is the blueprint. It's like, well, this is really hard. And that's why, like, I'm so impressed with Al Golden did, because like no one does this to USC. No one does, you know?
Yeah.
And so the fact that they were able to do it, what is this? Ask Jamie and Greg. I don't think they think Lincoln will have. Oh, they're talking about Lincoln Riley. They'll always have a good quarterback. He's never
always have a good quarterback. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll always be good. But I'm just talking about the state of where their roster's at, where they absolutely need Lincoln, or not Lincoln Riley, but Caleb Williams to just be phenomenal at this point of where they're at. And then because of kind of how they've approached it, which, I mean, isn't wrong, because you have Caleb Williams, you want to win with him. So you're trying to get guys who can play now. I get it. Right. But so when he leaves, there's still a bunch of guys right now who are on the team now who are going to leave. Right.
Yeah.
When he's gone after this year. So where are they at? Because, I mean, Zachariah Branch is obviously going to be a phenomenal guy. That's going to be a guy Notre Dame's going to have to worry about for 2 more years, right? And then obviously he's going to the NFL. Like, he's going to be special. Like, Deuce Robinson probably is going to be someone, but I mean, he wasn't in this game, right? Like, he just was. So they have guys, but also too, like, Mario Williams was supposed to be a guy, and he's not a guy for them. Dorian Singer was supposed to be a guy, and he's not. So, and then who are I mean, I don't know USC in terms of, like, we don't go to USC's practices. I don't see, like, what I've seen Boubacar Traore in practice. I've seen him and I was like, yeah, Boubacar is going to be a dude for Notre Dame. So that's why it wasn't shocking that he, like, came into this game and got a sack, because I was like, that fits. This guy is going to be, he's going to be a special pass rusher. Yeah. Like, I think he has a chance to be better. His best has a chance to be better than Isaiah Foskey, right? Like, that's how much talent he has. I mean, you saw how he turned the corner. Like, the guys,
they put him in the game one time. He turned the corner and forced a fumble. Like,
yeah. And so, I mean, so it's not to say that they don't have guys that are freshmen that are like, oh, this guy just needs time and he's going to be that good, right? Like, they easily could have that. But I'm just saying, like, right now, it doesn't look like they're, like, totally set up to be like the juggernaut that people would have expected in Lincoln Riley year 3, because they are so reliant on Caleb Williams to be great. And Malachi Nelson might be just phenomenal. He might be so good, but there's like a 2% chance he's as good as Caleb Williams. So that means everybody else has to be better. The O-line has to be better. The receivers got to be better. Everybody else has to be that much better. And it's just really hard, because you know that the defense is never going to be great. They're just going to be, maybe they can get it to good, but like they're never going to be great. So in that way too, I think a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, because it's like you think Notre Dame fans think of Pete Carroll and they think of all that time where they just whooped on Notre Dame for so many years.
Yeah.
Like I saw a lot of people, I remember in the Thursday show, people were like, I got a feeling it's going to be a Pete Carroll era whooping, right? And like, to be honest, like, I don't think I would have been totally shocked if that would have happened, but it's pretty obvious to me that when you see where they're at, that like they aren't where Pete Carroll's team was in like year 2. Because Pete Carroll's team in year 2 was like, oh, they're on the come up and they're going to be scary. And they recruit well, but they're just, I don't think they're Georgia. I don't think they're going to be Georgia. I don't think they're going to be peak Bama or anything like that. So I think Notre Dame is going to be very competitive with them for years. It's just the way I see it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll give USC fans credit because they were very attuned to this team. I mean, I was talking to people this week like, no, you don't get it. Like, they're not that good. I'm picking Notre Dame to win. Like, they're not. It is all Caleb Williams. I heard that so many times. I mean, it was like that people were very, like, they were concerned. They saw, and we said like maybe we're too close to Notre Dame's flaws, and we don't know enough about other teams' flaws, and that's obviously very possible. And obviously, it was possible this time because they knew, like, hey, this is a big problem. This is a big problem, and obviously their warts were shown tonight. What does this do for Notre Dame as we kind of wrap up here, Jamie? Well, what does this do for Notre Dame going forward? I mean, how big is this game?
Oh, I think it was massive. They had to get this before the bye because I think if you're looking at it, if they had lost this game, let's just say they lost the game the way that, it just flipped to the other side and USC won 48-20. I mean, all you're going to hear the rest of the season, it really didn't matter what Notre Dame would do the rest of the season. All you'd hear about is how, Marcus Freeman doesn't have it, or, forget about Jared Parker and what they would say. Like, it would just be relentless, right? And it's still, obviously, that's not going to go away. That's still going to be a topic for people, but they just absolutely needed this win in the worst way. And that's just a bad environment to have around for the players on the current team, for the recruiting, especially because then people are like, well, is he going to be here? Is this going to, like, there's all this kind of stuff. And now, like, just the vibes, it's whatever. The vibes, they were good, and then they were bad. And, like, I was talking to my buddy before this game who was on campus, and he was like, it's dour. Like, people were not excited. Like, people were expecting the worst for this game.
Yeah.
And now it changes. It changes because at the very least, people can be like, man, you just got to appreciate this defense. You have to appreciate this defense. You have to appreciate what, a guy like JD Price stepping up in a big moment. You have to appreciate all these guys on defense who came out and have played extremely well this year. And you also have to look at it as like, Notre Dame's got a good recruiting class. And it's like, well, now instead of like worrying about maybe losing guys, now you go back to, well, maybe they can add to it. And let's get 2025 still rolling and all this kind of stuff. And so that's why it just matters so much. And obviously things are weird. Like Pitt beat Louisville today, which I don't know. I mean, I didn't see any of that game. I don't know what happened in that game. I'm pretty sure Jerkovic didn't play. Like it was the other kid.
It was the other guy.
Yeah. Right. Canadian, by the way, just in case anyone was wondering, just another baller from up north. But anyways, but that guy, all of a sudden you're going from man, how many picks is Dracovic going to throw against Notre Dame to be? Maybe this guy's good. I don't know, right? Like,
yeah.
So that changes. So now it's like, well, and Pitt, they always find weird ways to play tight with Notre Dame, and obviously Clemson on the road, and Notre Dame still got a ton of questions on the road. But it's not out of the realm of possibility for Notre Dame to finish this season 10-2. It's not out of the realm of a possibility. And if they had lost this game, 100%, you're thinking like 8-4, 7-5. It just completely flips, right? It completely flips. So, yeah, I mean, I think everybody needs a break with the bye week. I think that's going to help a lot. But now there's like something to be excited about the rest of the season, and they're not going to make the playoff, but really, it's kind of more about building towards the future, anyways, and kind of where they're at. And I think there's a lot to be excited about there.
Jamie, my sister is here. She's in the chat. So funny. So let's do full disclosure hour. Okay. My sister works at USC. She was on the sideline for USC. She's a nurse, right? And we are very proud of her. It is very strange for me because listen, she's very proud of, and as she should be, very accomplished, like more accomplished than me. Okay. Like that. And I'm happy to say that. I have no problem. Very accomplished person. She's a supervisor over there. She was on the sideline. And so she is here. My old sister is trying to figure out how to get in the chat. But it's like she's a good kid. She's a good girl. Love you, Carrie. She's the best. And I said on the family thread in the text messages, hey, we're not gloating. Okay, we love our sister. Thank you, Carrie. You're the best. Get home safe, and we'll talk to you when you get back. Hopefully you can come over tomorrow. We have a birthday party for my oldest. So thank you, Carrie. Love you. Be safe. All right. She's on the wrong sideline. Yeah, look, listen, you get a good job, you got to go with it, right?
USC, it happens to the best of us.
It's a nice institution. What are you going to say? So that's where it is. Jamie, I just think this is it's massive. Listen, you can always just lose. You could always just lose the game. And you do need to win big games, right? You do, like, that is a skill for a coach, winning big games. And I'll say this, Jamie, the way that Notre Dame played against Ohio State last year, they played them closer than they really had the right to play them, frankly. They beat Clemson in a huge game at home. You beat, you go to USC, you have a tough game there, right? It was a bad game. They're on the fingertips of beating Ohio State this year, and you beat USC at home, right? Undefeated USC, Heisman winner Caleb Williams. Like it takes something to win those games, right? We're talking about Marcus Freeman. He doesn't know when to kick field goals. He doesn't know when to punt. He does 10 on the field and all this stuff. His team put together performance and whooped on USC. It's huge. It's huge for that locker room. It's huge for the university. It's huge for every recruit watching this game, right? Because I think the thing with Marcus Freeman, his great skill is people want to root for him. People want to. People like him. And he just has a way of getting to people like that. And so this is a reason to root for him. Every recruit that's on the campus right now, they want to. Deuce Knight's tweeting things about stay tuned and players are, look out for recruits and that sort of thing, right? CJ Carr in fold. Deuce Knight in fold. I mean, these guys who are completely bought into the program. It's so important. Patrick Carter says, how can one be more successful than the Kyle Hamilton of Sunday morning post-game recap show podcasters, aka Greg Famong? That reminds me, tomorrow there's going to be a morning after recap show, as always, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific time. Jamie, I think we'll end it there. You've got to get writing on your instant analysis. So you're going to want to check that out at irishsportsdaily.com. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you like what you heard, hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know that we're going live. I'll be live tomorrow morning at 9:30, 6:30 Pacific. Links to the podcast are in the description below. Notre Dame beats USC 48-20. Huge win for Marcus Freeman. Huge win for the program. And, going to rise in the rankings and everything feels good going into the bye week. So have a good night, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Keep hitting and hustling.